Hello, thank you for joining with me. We are in Ken Wapnick's Journey Through the Text of A Course in Miracles, Volume 1, and we are on Chapter 6, The Lessons of Love. We are picking up the reading in The Ego Strategy, The Mindless Body. Chapter 6, 5a, 2, 2 through 3. The body is the symbol of what you think you are. It is clearly a separation device and therefore does not exist. We can understand from this why the ego does not want us to learn the Course and return to the mind, and would have us believe instead that Jesus wants our bodies to become holier, happier, and healthier. It encourages us to pray for others and send out thoughts of love and healing, and blesses these reinforcers of separation. The most devoted students of A Course in Miracles do it as well because they fear recognizing the body's inherent nothingness. In truth, it is not the body that has to be prayed for, but the mind that made it to forget what is in true need of healing. The body also serves the ego's strategy by keeping guilt real. As we saw in Chapter 5, guilt sustains the separation. For once believed in, it is projected from the mind to avoid punishment and lands on the specific and separated body. As the workbook says, thus were specifics made. We need to hate something. If we are to get rid of the guilt over our separation from God. Let me start over. We need to hate something. If we are to get rid of the guilt over our separation from God, we need the body onto which we project our guilt, so God will see our sin in others and punish them. Herein lies the purpose the world was made to serve, and why it is filled with specific symbols of separation we call bodies. The following aptly and succinctly summarizes the ego's use of the body and its effects. 5a5, 3 through 4. The ego uses the body for attack, for pleasure, and for pride. The insanity of this perception makes it a fearful one indeed. Since the ego's ultimate purpose is to keep us mindless, it projects itself onto a body that, since ideas leave not their source, merely replicates the underlying thought system of guilt and attack that remains intact. Further, since to the ego guilt is pleasurable, it transfers that insane thought onto the body, which now becomes the seat of pleasure. When pleasure is absent, we experience pain. However, the form does not matter, since either way, pleasure or pain, the body's experienced reality keeps the mind's projected guilt out of awareness, reinforcing fear of retaliation and death. We therefore turn to projection and focus specifically on its dynamic of attack, guilt's protector, and its home. Projection, anger, and attack. For the first time, our symphony seriously looks at projection, even though the term appeared as early as the second movement. Looking ahead, projection will emerge as one of the main building blocks of the ego's thought system. If we do not understand it, which means we do not understand the ego's strategy, we will never understand why forgiveness is so important and is at the heart of the Course's message. The meaning and essence of forgiveness is found in the context of projection. We first project the mind's guilt in a maladaptive attempt to get rid of it, and then reverse the projection via the miracle in order for the mind to choose again. We have said before in the early chapters that the separation was and is dissociation, and that once it occurs, projection becomes its main defense, or the defense that keeps it going. The reason, however, may not be so obvious as you think. We first split ourselves off, i.e., dissociate from God, self from self, and then split off the wrong-minded self from the right-minded one. The ego complicates its system of defenses by splitting off this wrong-minded self from the mind entirely, projecting it out and making a macrocosmic world and microcosmic body. Projection then becomes the ego's principal line of defense, and Jesus now explains what happens in this process. What you project, you disown, and therefore do not believe is yours. The basis for projection is the belief we separated from God and that the separated self is our identity. The ego teaches us this self is sinful and overwhelmed with sin's enormity. Experienced as guilt, we fear the punishment we are certain that will result, since guilt demands it. As we have seen, this unholy trinity of sin, guilt, and fear is the core of the ego's strategy to get us willingly to leave the mind to make a world and body, believing that we will be destroyed otherwise. We allow ourselves to be convinced that guilt is our reality, that it is imperative we be saved from it through projection. We strive to get rid of this self-hate, disowning our perceived guilty self by projecting it onto this newly made world filled with newly made bodies, just waiting for us to do so. Needless to say, these bodies are doing the same to us. I'm going to go ahead and stop there today. I thank you so much for joining with me. And we will pick up there tomorrow. I love you. Have a beautiful day or evening. Bye. See you then.